Great to have you with us, Richard. Were you surprised by this move by a sort of a world governing body to offer prize money?
Not really. There's been so many changes in world sport. In American college sports, they've let the athletes now earn income. We see different things happening with all the Olympic nations. They actually give medalists get prizes anywhere up to $100,000 or $1 million from their home nation. So this wasn't a total surprise. And also the Olympic Committee is flush with funds. So it's interesting that Sebastian Coe's made this announcement.
Yeah. Athletics is one of those sports where I guess there are some big stars that probably are, get lots of sponsorship deals and make a lot of money. But I imagine a lot of them, it's quite a struggle to be, completely committed to the sport. Do you think that's part of this need to recognise the effort that goes into being an Olympian?
Well, yes, it is. A small sport. Funding that they would get. Australian government, or I should say the Australian Olympic Committee gives 20,000, 15 and 10 for medals. And that would mean a lot to somebody in a minor sport. But the major sports like athletics and especially swimming, where athletes can get sponsorship and get success after they win medals, it'll mean less to them. But it's quite interesting that athletics and Sebastian Coe have come up with this. And there's other politics at play here. Sebastian Coe, I think, is priming himself to be the president of the IOC down the track when Bach finishes up. So I think he's put this, it'll stand him in good favor, I think, with the athletes, won't it?
Yeah.
And maybe it's a little slam dunk at the IOC because they were blindsided by this. They weren't consulted. And even though money goes from the IOC to all the sports federations and the World Athletics is channeling it back to the athletes, what we're seeing here is that it's an interesting move by Sebastian Coe. It'll be interesting to see if other sports follow suit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you whether you thought that would happen.
Well, I think in some sports it will. Swimming's another good example of a rich sport. A sport like basketball, think about that. I don't think they would do it. Most of the players, be they NBA or women's basketball, women's NBA, are on good contracts. It doesn't mean that much to them, especially the men. So they're making $20, $30, $40 million a year. It's not going to really do anything. They want to go represent their country and win a medal, and they're doing it for other reasons. But for minor sports, when this comes up, will the IOC now channel money to all the sports federations for this purpose? That'd be an interesting move, especially to the minor sports. Also, if you're an athlete and you don't win a medal, how do you get funded and look after yourself? That's another concern, isn't it? We get them to the Olympic Games, but sometimes it's been a hard trek for them to get there.
100%. And, you talk about the basketballers and the tennis players, who are all earning good livings. For them, it is the Olympic gold that they're after. But there are so many other, sports that really it is an absolute struggle. It comes at such huge sacrifice. So maybe the Olympic movement should look at spreading that a little bit more evenly.
Yes, and it's the minor sports, I think, that need to be looked at. Look at golf and tennis. And we see those two sports. Those athletes that are going into those sports don't need the money, do they? And yet they go to maybe get a gold medal, have the Olympic experience. But sometimes the best golfers and tennis players do not go, do they? They don't even attempt to go. Adam Scott, for example, probably isn't going to go. He probably won't qualify to represent Australia. But in those sports, they don't really need it, do they?
No,
it's the minor sports, I think, that really need some help.
What do you make of Sebastian Coe's bid, do you think, to become president? He hasn't completely said he's doing it, but this kind of move suggests that he is after that. Is it strategic? Do you think he would be a front runner to be the next IOC president?
Yes, he is. I've had a chance to meet him once at the Commonwealth Games in 2002, and he's a very impressive person. Of course, he was a medalist in the athletics, and then he went on to help organize and run the London Olympics in 2008, and they were fantastic. 2012, and they were fantastically run. And then he became president of the World Athletics. So he's set himself up for this next chapter, and I think he'll do an excellent job. And this is a political move. I think this puts him in good favor, and maybe will make changes to the way athletes are funded across a multitude of sports that need it.
Yeah, I think the Olympic movement could learn to actually distribute it to the athletes and not sometimes to all the hangers-on right around the system. But that's another conversation, perhaps.
Yes, there's one interesting one in Korea. If male golfers win an Olympic medal, they don't have 2 years of conscription to go to. So, or if they win a gold medal in the Asian Games, and 2 Korean golfers have had that happen, so they didn't have to go do the 2 years of conscription. That's an interesting incentive, isn't it? A little different on the financial side, but and also a Singaporean swimmer who won $1 million from his government, because Singapore doesn't win many medals. They gave their incentive $1 million, but it's interesting around the world. In some cases, too, we have sports lotteries. In Britain, their success in the Olympics recently is because they instituted a sport lottery. Hey, Australia, think about it. Maybe a sports lottery is a good idea, or get some taxes that we get from sport gambling. Maybe that should go to sport. There's some really creative things that can occur. But Sebastian Coe's caused the world to sit up and take notice, and that's why we're talking tonight, aren't we, Bev?
Yeah, indeed. And I'm distracting you from the footy. I know you want to get back. I hope you're not a Melbourne supporter tonight. It doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good for the Demons so far. So I'll go back and have my first drink now, I think.
Cheers to that. Thanks for your time.
Okay, no worries.